So the mental health aspect, how important is it for people to have a great mental health as well as working on the body at the same time?
Yeah, huge. It's huge. And I
Mm-hmm.
think maybe we're finally starting to get there. Like I kind of learned it the hard way. When I got separated in 2013, I was probably spending 2.5 hours at the gym daily. And I remember when I walked in one day, and I knew I was strong because I'd been doing so much work. And actually, I sat down on the bench that day, and I was like, looked around, and I was like, done. And I knew, and it wasn't done that I wasn't strong enough to lift anything. It was that I was mentally done.
Mentally done, yeah.
And I got up and I walked out the door. I didn't touch a weight that day. And I went and sat out at our local park. And there was a big eye opener for me, because I thought that's when the mind body thing connected, because I was like, great shape body wise, but I knew I had some inside work to do.
Welcome to Q's Health and Wellness Podcast, your source for living a healthier lifestyle and developing a better mind, body, and soul. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful fitness gurus, athletes, and individuals who are passionate about enhancing all aspects of life, we provide you with the tools to help you take your lifestyle to another level. And now your host, Quinn Mitchell.
Welcome to Q's Health and Wellness Podcast. This is your host, Quinn Mitchell, and today I have a very special guest. Jodi Barrett is the CEO of Kettlebell Kickboxing in Canada. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. You?
I'm doing great. So for people that are not familiar with you, would you mind giving a brief introduction about yourself?
Okay, so I run the Canadian region. I teach, I teach classes here where I live, and then I certify trainers throughout the country in our Kettlebell Kickboxing program, which is the Russian kettlebell with martial arts motion.
Wow, that's awesome. So what really made you get started with this? Just launching your own company.
It kind of evolved. I've always been in fitness since I was probably little. And then I went to a kettlebell class with a group of people one time, and I was like, I don't know, there was something about it. I started to swing the bell, and I was like, it's a good zone to be in. And I started doing some Muay Thai training, and I came across the kettlebell kickboxing and the fusion of the two. And yeah, I got certified in kettlebell in Regina here, like in Canada. And I just wanted a program that was a little bit more in depth with some more progressions and modifications for my clients. And I reached out to get certified and wanted to actually work for her. So it just kind of went from certifying to work for her to, running the own company.
Yes, ma'am. So basically, just going from the beginning. So what made you really get into fitness? I know you mentioned it that you trained since you were younger. So what really got you started?
So like when I left high school, I went to university, and so my degree is a bachelor's degree in like kinesiology. But I was always fit as a kid and always trained. I loved it. Loved how it felt. You just feel better, right? And then I just think it's a huge part of, not only so much a physical mindset as your mental mindset. So I've never strayed ever that far away from it.
Got you. So now, do you currently have clients that you're working with?
I do. I have a gym full of clients, and I have clients online and trainers across the country.
So what are your biggest obstacles when it comes to them? Just with the clients in general, do you see anybody that has general obstacles in common?
The biggest obstacle is getting people to believe in themselves to come and get started, right? Like that is a barrier, and I've kind of evolved from there, because I used to be kind of like when somebody'd say they can't do it, and I'm like, oh yes you can. And I've gotten a few clients that are they've been so unique to me, and they have such, I have a blog up right now on one of my clients. She's 72. And she drives an hour and a half to train with me.
Oh wow.
Trains an hour and drives an hour and a half home.
That's awesome.
And she actually just came to Jamaica with me when we went on our fitness retreat. And her fitness journey is incredible. Like everything she's been through. I remember we were walking up the stairs one day, and I looked down and I noticed that she had a scar from her left hip down to her left knee, because it was summertime, so she's had shorts on. And I was like, what did you do? And so we got into a bit of a talking about it, and she spoke about she was got hit by a train in a car accident when she was younger. And she had lost 3 of her family members. And just her story of how a lot of stuff she went through, but there she is, she's showing up on the mats. She's so determined. So when coming back to obstacles, I went around a long way there. You have to have it as a mindset. And I used to always say to people when they used to say, well, I can't do it. And I would try to, convince them they could. And sometimes I do, and I kind of work that way with them. But often I'll point blankly say, you probably can't. Because you haven't crossed that bridge to where you need to go to decide that you can.
Yes, I definitely agree with that.
You know what I mean? Like, if already in your mind, if you think you can't do it, it's most likely, right? And I think sometimes that's a big eye opener for people.
Yes,
because I think people are used to people like, oh yeah, you can, and then to have somebody say, yeah, you're probably right. I often have people's mouths drop, and they're like, I can't believe you said that. And I'm like, well, you said it, so. And then you can talk with them, right?
So another question I wanted to ask you is, what is actually kettlebell kickboxing? Because when I looked on your page and looked through your Instagram and everything, I was really amazed with all the exercise you were doing. You basically it's like a full body workout with just a kettlebell, which some people may not believe until they actually check out your page. But that's something I really found fascinating. So could you just briefly explain what kettlebell kickboxing actually is?
Yeah, awesome, for sure. So we take out movements from different martial arts motions. So like we sometimes will name them different. So different things like leopards with the kickouts. The kickouts are actually from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So martial arts really have some incredible, fantastic moves. So when we fuse them with the kettlebell, it makes it really functional. And like, I'll be 45 in May, and I'm in probably the best shape of my life. I've got clients that I just had a trainer. He posted his journey since he used to train at a gym for 3 times a week. And since he posted now, since he started training kettlebell kickboxing, like like I did just to look at the pictures, because the pictures don't lie, right?
No,
so
it's true.
Yeah.
But like I said, when I looked at your page, it was really awesome, because some of the things you're doing, I personally can't do myself, but it's just knowing that you're 45 in such a great shape is really fascinating to me.
Yeah, no, thanks.
No problem. Another question I wanted to ask you too. Now, when it comes to women, just working out, now I know me personally having clients that are mostly women, they come to me with a lot of obstacles and may not have the time. They might have kids at home. So how do you personally balance everything out?
Like for myself or for my clients?
Both, if you don't mind. Just
oh yeah. For me, actually, and I have 3 kids, and I just had this conversation with my youngest the other day, because she came over and we were hanging out, and I went and trained that morning, and she sat me down and said, Mom, I was here to hang out with you. And I told her that I have some non-negotiables in my life, and one of them is, since I do what I do and I train other people, one of my non-negotiables is I train myself. So basically, since I started doing this, I know, like, I get super busy, but I show up for the time I've allotted myself, because I know I'll feel better. It's sometimes hard to get there and stressful to go, okay, it's easier to say, I don't have time today, just keep working. But when you've done it enough to know how it actually makes you feel, you just show up, right? So yeah, like my mom's in here this morning, and I went and trained at 9 o'clock this morning, and I'm like, chill out, I'll be back in an hour. So I try to encourage women that way, especially ones with little kids. I do online with them, just so that, because I know I had 3 little kids at one time, and it's not always easy to juggle that, right? But again, you have to want to, and if you know the outcome of how it'll feel. When I had the little kids, I got up in the morning and I went swimming at 6 o'clock, half an hour swim, because I knew I could get that up and get done before my kids were up. So I think it's a lot about self-discipline, for sure. But I mean, I teach moms, and I always say, when moms come into the class, they look frazzled, like they've had a day of, oh my God, I can't, and I'm here, and they look exhausted. And I always say, by the time they leave, they just have a glow and they look happy. And
Gotcha.
I'll send them a message and say, awesome. And they're like, yeah, it didn't feel so good when I got there, but so.
So how do you personally stay motivated for the gym now? So how do you keep basically like the train rolling?
Just gotta just keep going, right? It's just that thing about, you just have to show up. It's just, I think because motivation will go, right? You're not always going to stay motivated. Yes. Like, because you're going to have a crappy day or not feel so good. I think just the discipline of it's like the checklist you have in the morning, what you have to do. And you just got to check it off.
Yes, ma'am. So speaking of nutrition, so how's your nutrition life? So when it comes to dieting, are you currently on a diet, or do you put your clients on diets when they take your program?
We don't diet. We eat clean. We focus on eating, because I think we've kind of gotten to a society today where we're like, let's do this diet, and people only do it for a little while and everything comes right back, right? I had one client wanted to go on a diet, and they wanted to be down this amount of weight in this particular time because they were going to do a speech in front of a whole bunch of people. And I said, well, I think the healthier way is to do it a longer period of time. I said, I think you'll be a much happier, healthier person standing in front of a group of people if you do it the long, safe way instead of, just... Yes. Doing it the unhealthy way. I have a lady I have that I use in the next province over, who she is a nutritionist that sometimes we'll touch base in that. And we always talk about the importance of eating, and enjoying food again, and not and in moderation, obviously, right? We always talk about whenever we get together, we'd like to do a post of us sitting around eating ice cream, right? Because it's real and ice cream's good.
Yes,
so, I did a weight loss challenge in my class back in May, and I brought a scale into my gym, and I've never had a scale in my gym ever.
Wow.
Because it was one of those things, I didn't want one in there, but I brought one in, and we did the challenge, and I use it as a platform to educate people. And when I got them in my space, it wasn't about beating themselves up about, what they're eating or how they're eating, and maybe just finding some underlying reasons why they're possibly overeating. Because as you would probably know that it's not really about the food. And also, I always call my mats the therapy mats, right? Because it's your physical therapy, but it's also your mental therapy.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the next topic I want to jump into. So the mental health aspect, how important is it for people to have a great mental health as well as working on the body at the same time?
Yeah, huge. It's huge. And I think maybe we're finally starting to get there. I kind of learned it the hard way. When I got separated in 2013, I was probably spending 2.5 hours at the gym daily. And I remember when I walked in one day, and I'm like, I knew I was strong because I'd been doing so much work. And actually, I sat down on the bench that day, and I was like, looked around, and I was like, done. And I knew, and it wasn't done that I wasn't strong enough to lift anything. It was that I was mentally done.
Mentally done, yeah.
And I got up, and I walked out the door. I didn't touch a weight that day. And I went and sat out at our local park. And there was a big eye opener for me, because I thought that's when the mind body thing connected, because I was like, my, great shape body wise, but I knew I had some inside work to do. Right. So I always say with my clients, it's, the people that do so much training, I'm like, you have to figure out kind of what's going on there too, because you can overtrain.
Yes.
Right.
That's something I personally struggle with myself, just being a college athlete, playing college basketball. Especially when I dealt with injuries, it was where when I came back from my injuries, I was always just overtraining. So then I would basically hit a wall mentally. And it's like, my game will be up here, but mentally, I wouldn't say I was not mentally stable, but it was just the fact that I wasn't at peace with myself.
Absolutely.
So I had to take some time out just to figure out what I actually wanted to do, and from there I had to reevaluate everything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I
100%.
I think a lot of people hit that wall, but again, they don't know what to do when they get to that point.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. But when you
So,
do, you hit it good, right?
yeah. Definitely. So I also want to ask you too, because you're a woman and you're in great shape. So when it comes to all these dietary pills like the waist trainers, do you believe in them, or do you believe that it's really just the work you put in at the gym? Because I've heard I had a lot of different people on the show. Some people say they work, some
Yeah.
people say they don't. But it's nothing like coming from a woman that's actually in shape and is a real life testimony of what really works. So what is your honest opinion?
My honest opinion is I'm probably pretty old-fashioned when it comes to that stuff, and I believe that there is no magic pill. And if you want something that'll last and in a healthy way, you just got to put in the work. Like, you know, and everybody has a different goal, and you always have to bring that into consideration and what they want. But you know, just got to show up, right? Put the time in. Watch. You don't have to. You can enjoy food, but you have to eat healthy. Have some snacks every once in a while, treats, because that's life, right? You want to enjoy.
Definitely. And then also what I want to ask you too is, being a business owner, how do you balance everything out in your personal life? I know we touched on it a little earlier, but is there something that you do, like write down everything that you have to do throughout the day, or is it something that you just tackle each day?
I sometimes have to write a list of like things that I have to get done. Like this morning, I have a list for the weekend where, the things I have to accomplish because they are my top priorities. Balance is, I believe, a juggling act. I don't think anything's ever really going to be in balance. You just deal with some things that are on the top of the list that have to get done first. And yeah.
No, that's awesome. Because like I said, I really commend you for being a business owner, having 3 kids of your own, and just be able to balance everything out and still being able to hit the gym the way you do. Because like I said, and not a lot of people are able to do that at your age specifically. They're either at home or they're just not there mentally, and not being able to do that. But I do commend you for that as well.
Well, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So for anybody that want to get in contact with you, would you mind giving your contact information?
For sure. Probably Instagram. They can get everything is Kettlebell Kickboxing Canada. My website is .com, and I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook.
Got you.
My email would be jodi@kettlebellkickboxingcanada.com. It's a long-winded one. I say when you say it, you'll never forget it.
Got you. So I'll definitely include that in the bio as well. And before I let you go, I just want to ask you one more question. I ask all of my guests. What is something that you're most grateful for?
Every day I open my eyes.
That's great. I really appreciate you coming on the show, Jodi, and taking time today to talk to me. There's no problem. So I'll definitely have all your information in the bio. And we could definitely, if you ever come out to America, we could definitely link up, do like a kettlebell course or something.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, ma'am. So
we totally should do that.
Yes, we should.
We have to chat.
Yep. I would greatly appreciate you coming on the show, though.
All right. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Q's Health and Wellness Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe or to leave us a review on iTunes or the listening platform of your choice. Also, please check us out at QuinnMitchellII.com, as well as find us on Instagram for more useful content and resources.